And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day, picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around your real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, all types of law categories covered here with our multiple attorneys. We're talking about book publishing today and writing your own book. So we are poised to help you win in any marketplace. We want to entertain, educate, engage in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, I want you to pull out your smartphone and save our consumer advocate hotline number in your phone. It's 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894.
Baby, don't forget my number.
And we want you to bookmark realestateradiotampa.com. That's our website, blog site, where you can see expert contributor links, all of our expert contributors. You can also watch the show live if you happen to be in your office right now or on a home computer or even your smartphone. Go ahead and use the Google Chrome app and pull up our website, realestateradiotampa.com, and click on the live stream app, and you can watch the live stream. We've got cameras here in studio. We create a lot of social media content as well for our business owner partners, and it's a way that you can check out our YouTube channel, see a lot of information there. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, you name it, we're on it. Please connect with us. Utilize the hashtag AskTheREQB, and we're going to help you out with any questions you may have. You've got questions as consumers. We're going to provide you answers, but we're also going to take it a step further. We want to give you these action items to help you live a better life, build a legacy for your family. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We want to help you win in any marketplace. So I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me. I'm pleased to have back Mr. Peter Macaluso, Macaluso Law. Welcome back in, sir.
How are you, sir? Nice to see you today.
Excellent. Yeah, criminal defense, immigration law, 43-plus years, I think, if I recall.
Actually, going on 46 this year.
46 years in law. So a plethora of information here is attorney Peter Macaluso. Thanks for coming in. Also in studio, Tara Richter, owner of Richter Publishing. Welcome back in, Tara.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, today we're going to talk a little bit about miracles and why now is the time to publish your memoirs in a book and leave your legacy.
Exactly. Awesome. Love it. That's a great tease of what we're going to talk about. And you have a brace on.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Let's go ahead and do it right now.
I guess.
Okay. Well, so this is the first time I'm actually talking about it. Like for the media, for the people looking at the video right now, I have a nice collar around my neck. And a month ago, unfortunately, I had an accident where I fell down my stairs backwards. Oh. And I severed 3 ligaments in my neck. And it was really bad. Thank goodness my roommate was home. She heard the noises and just this boom, boom, boom of falling down the staircase. But yet I didn't scream or anything. And she said she felt this cold breeze of death in the house, and she thought I was dead. And it was so scary. But thank goodness I wasn't. And she was able to get me up, and I went to the emergency room at Countryside, where then they ran some MRIs and scans and stuff, and then they immediately came, put this on, put me in a wheelchair, and they're like, "Why are you walking?" Because I drove myself there.
Wow.
Which I shouldn't have. And, basically then they thought, I was going to be paralyzed. So it was really scary. Then they sent me by ambulance to St. Joseph in Tampa, where I was in the critical care unit for 4 days.
Wow.
And they were monitoring. They had stuff strapped to my legs, my arms. I had 2 IVs in, hopped up on a lot of morphine, and, checking my vitals every hour, because they said basically when when you stretch those ligaments, it creates a hematoma, which is, kind of like a bruise or a bubble of blood, and it was pushing on my spinal cord that was losing feeling in my hands and feet.
Wow.
So they literally thought I was going to be paralyzed. But thankfully, I'm not.
Right.
I'm up, I'm walking, and I mean, it's a miracle that I am, because the neurosurgeon wanted to cut my neck open and fuse my vertebrae. Oh. And I was like, I'm too young for that.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to do that right now. So I'm like, what are my options?
Yeah.
And he's like, 50% chance it'll heal on its own, 50% chance it won't, and we'll have to do surgery. And so I opted for the natural healing because that's more of what I'm a big proponent of.
Yeah.
And within 48 hours, I was able to lift myself up out of the bed.
Wow.
Within 3 days, I was able to walk. They were able to take me off all the IVs and everything. The 4th day, I was released from the hospital, and now I'm walking, getting around, healing.
Great.
And, I mean, it's a miracle. I really think the powers that be were like, you have too
right.
much stuff left to get done on this planet.
Blessed and highly favored. That's one of my incantations.
Yeah, it's like, you look at all the books you have in your pipeline. You're like, you're not getting out of this so easy.
No, that's right. Absolutely. Well, it brings me to, giving a plug to our sponsors here as well. Back in Health Massage, Michael Vogt, expert massage therapist here. What else do you have in this world if you don't have your health? And, that story emulates that. And Back in Health Massage, 3750 Gun Highway, and voted top 10 massage services in Tampa Bay, as well as part 2 of my health team is Ray Milton with Ray's Vegan Soul, where I'll hit you with a flavor. Check him out on Facebook, Ray's Vegan Soul. Ray Milton does a great job cooking these awesome meals for me each week and helping keep me fit and my energy levels up and taking care of my health because it can happen any day. So that's a reminder of that.
It is, absolutely. And that's why I say now is the time to write your book, to write your memoirs, because you don't know how much time you have left.
Right.
If I would have been dead at the bottom of the stairs, I still have 10 books out there. I have like my Dating Jungle series. This is one of them. I have my series about how to write and publish your own book. So, I still have, my legacy is already out there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have more time to build on it and I can write and publish more books. But for people that are thinking about writing a book, now's the time to do it. Whether you're 25, 35, 45, you never know when you're, going to hit by a bus or your time's up.
You're fall down the stairs. I mean, anything. It could happen.
Anything. So, do it now. And if you're young, then you can have time to write a sequel to your your memoirs.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad. Tara and I, we work on Skype sometimes, or I think it was a FaceTime, and I saw her in the brace, and I was on the boat last weekend, I think it was, and we were doing we're working on a project together on my next book. Awesome book. I can't wait till it comes out. I don't even want to tease it yet because I don't want to give anybody any ideas to try to replicate what we're doing. But yeah, so I had the phone up and she said, "Are you on the boat right now?" So I've kind of felt bad about that. But
it's all good. I mean, you got to live life because, once again,
right.
you don't know what's going to happen. So that's the whole thing. Do your book, get it out now. Because, I mean, the cool thing about having, publishing your memoirs and leaving that legacy is that it'll be up on distribution channels forever.
Yep.
So once you have passed away, your grandkids can read it, their grandkids can read it. I mean, the beautiful thing, with books is that you can influence people when you're not even there.
yeah. Yeah, I love that idea.
Absolutely.
Especially sit down with grandma, sit down with grandpa, get their stories, pull those great stories. Sometimes I talk to my granny Evelyn down in South Florida. Grew up in a completely different era than we did, and I remember one of the stories was the day after she got married, she was back out working in the fields the next day. There wasn't a honeymoon. They're canning tomatoes. I mean, so you get all these life stories and these life lessons as well.
Absolutely, and that's the one of the points I was going to make is the ancestry sites are really cool. You can get facts about your heritage, but wouldn't it be great to hear it from grandma's point of view or grandpa's point of view? Just like you said, what was it like to live in the early 1900s? How was society different? I mean, shoot, it's only been like back in 1950, women could not get a mortgage without their husband on the title.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it hasn't been that long, but we forget, because we have it so easy now and we progressed and gone so far. But what was it like 50 years ago, 60 years ago?
Yeah, it's interesting. You think about, the pendulum swinging and sometimes these different issues, these social issues, I feel like the pendulum swings too far on certain things. I don't want to go down a bunny trail and start talking about politics or anything like that. But, great point. When you look at writing a book, putting things on paper, and potentially even doing an audio book behind it. A lot of times that's what I do. I take a lot of my information and I try to read at least 1 or 2 books a month, and probably do more than that if I look back at my notes. But a lot of it is on the iPhone and plugging in, and each morning starting off with some good motivational types of works from all of my favorites. Robbins, Brian Tracy, all the different folks, Les Brown. So that's another idea.
Absolutely. And it's such a great thing that you could go out and buy Grandma's book or Uncle Joe's book and
Absolutely.
find out all of their information. Even one thing I thought would be a really cool idea, which I haven't tapped into it yet, is when people get married, they have to give it's like a little gift at the table for all the friends and family that came. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if the bride and groom wrote a book of how they met and their relationship, and then grandma could write a chapter, or mom could write a chapter, and have this book about their whole journey with pictures, and everybody gets to leave the wedding with a book.
Love it. Very creative.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Very creative. So stay with us. We got some intelligent talk radio, some intelligent folks here in studio. We're talking with Tara Richter of Richter Publishing, Peter Macaluso. He's an attorney with Peter Macaluso Law, and we're going to touch on Tampa police sued over DUI arrest accused of trying to meet quotas. This and more from my experts here in studio, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, a former USF football player, where the quarterback theme comes in. I want to quarterback these introductions for you. I want to help you win in any marketplace, and we've assembled a team of over 75, probably close to 80 now, expert contributors that we have that we bring on air, and we help position you to win as a consumer out there. That's the goal of our show. We want to make you more street smart, help you avoid a lot of that commission-based advice out there, and give you the truth, the timely truths around real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, so much more. Check out our website, realestateradiotampa.com, and program our hotline number in your phone because at some point you may need it. It's 813-917-1894. That's our consumer advocate hotline. Okay, we're going to bring in Peter Macaluso. He's an attorney here in Tampa Bay, long time attorney in Tampa Bay, close to 46 years now, and criminal defense, immigration law. And what are you seeing out there, Peter? What's new, man?
Well, I do want to say that I just moved my office after 13 years.
Okay.
And we're right close to the corner of Florida Avenue and Martin Luther King.
Okay.
The first block west of Florida Avenue, which is Arlington. So I'm on the corner of Arlington and MLK. And boy, the amount of traffic that goes by there is hard to imagine because I've been in a quieter neighborhood of Tampa Heights.
Right.
But we do criminal defense and a lot of immigration defense if they're being deported. And we do other areas of law, but those are the two main areas. And the way I got into the immigration defense was, if I go back maybe 20 years ago, every time I had somebody from another country, which was usually Mexico or Central or South America, if they had a criminal offense, the next thing that happened was they would be in deportation proceedings. And there just weren't hardly any attorneys to send them to, and they couldn't afford them. So I started studying it on my own and doing it for free for a few years just to try to help people. And after that, I started telling the other lawyers that I did that. So we get a lot of referrals from other attorneys and from our base of clients when they're in deportation proceedings.
Right.
And they can be in deportation proceedings even if they're legal in this country. Mm-hmm. You can have what we've always called the green card, even though in my career I've never seen the real green card, but they still call a card for legal residence a green card.
Interesting.
It looks more like a driver's license or something. And even if you have that, you can stay in the U.S. forever and you are legal, but you're not a U.S. citizen. So if you get convicted of certain crimes, you can be put into deportation proceedings. And that happens on a regular basis, and oftentimes the immigration authorities, called ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, go on a campaign, let's call it. Mm-hmm. And I just read, and everybody else probably did too, that they're about to begin a crackdown. So they did so in January, I think in February, and they may be doing it again. And what happens in those instances is, even though you're not in jail or something like that, people that have been arrested before, now that they've improved their computer databases, they may track them down and go pick them up and bring them into the immigration office nearest them and put them into deportation proceedings. Those folks may very well have a defense if they're already a legal resident, meaning that they came in with a visa and maybe they got married to a U.S. citizen or they had some way of becoming a legal permanent resident, green card. Right now, in our area, Central Florida, the court for immigration deportation proceedings is in Orlando. There are so many cases that we are receiving notices of court hearings not for this August, but for next August.
Wow.
August of 2017.
Unbelievable.
And that means that in a few months we'll be hitting 2018. Before the end of this year, I think we'll be getting notices of going to court in
So that's a backlog. I mean, is that a bad thing for our system?
It's an incredible backlog.
It's kind of like the foreclosures. When the foreclosures happen and a lot of the different things with the Great Recession, I guess they were calling it now. But so what's the factors there? I mean, is that good for an attorney to have more time? Or
it depends on
lots of variables.
The type of client you have. I mean, most of my clients are just very nice, hardworking people who either had a problem before and that's why they're in deportation, or very possibly they're simply not legal. For example, they've come across the border and they've stayed here in the United States and they've worked and all of that, but they're not legal. So if they get even a DUI and they're in the jail for a little while, immigration can put a hold on them and put them into deportation proceedings. And of course, there's all kind of controversy in the politics of the country whether people should be allowed to stay here if they're not officially legal or not. And there's, we could talk for hours about all of that because there's hundreds and hundreds of different situations.
Let me go ahead and interject there. Now, and it's part of our presidential debate, so I think it's very topical. You got Trump who's saying, some of these folks, we need to make sure we screen them a little bit better, which, on the top of the idea, it sounds, like a no-brainer. It sounds common sense-wise to me, especially another plane just went down, Egypt Air flight that went down in the Mediterranean. They haven't linked it officially to terrorism, but, it left from Paris to Egypt, I believe. So, gosh, man, there's so much to think about when it comes to immigration. It just seems like we hear over and over, we've got our own problems with things happening with our hospitals, with our courts being backed up, with our emergency services. What are the implications?
Well, the fact is that the United States of America has such an incredible attraction to everybody else in the world.
Right.
That there's always going to be millions of people who would like to come here.
Right.
I'm sure that Europe has very much the same attraction.
Right.
But still, the U.S. is the place where you hear about it constantly.
Absolutely.
And because we have border countries and countries in Central and South America that aren't on the border, but you can get to the border.
Yep.
And because so many of those countries, Guatemala and Honduras and all of them down there are experiencing all kind of problems with gangs and murders,
organized crime,
and all of
drugs,
that. And even the very organized, sophisticated countries like Venezuela having massive economic problems and political problems and all that.
Yeah.
So the U.S. will never cease being the main point that everybody that doesn't like their country wants to go to. So there's always going to be that problem.
Yeah.
Should we have good screening of the people that are being allowed to come in legally? Absolutely, we should.
Right.
Absolutely, we should. What do we do with the ones who are sneaking in? Well, you got, I guess you could say, two types of those, the good and the bad.
Right.
Most of them are very good people who want to come here and work.
Let me interject too, right there, Peter. I'm from a small town in South Florida. I grew up in a town called LaBelle, just east of Fort Myers, Hendry County, the number 1 producer of cattle in the state. Tomatoes, orange groves. So yes, we rely heavily on those folks that come up and they want to do that work.
Yep.
The migrant workers. So when I think about it, I guess, and here's the political side of it from what I've seen. Again, you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show. We're talking with attorney Peter Macaluso here. He's an immigration attorney in Tampa Bay, also criminal defense and others. But Peter, it just seems like it's turning into, and America's kind of at a tipping point. And, again, this is not a political show. It's not a religious show. This is a business, but we're on the topic of immigration, so it's topical. When you think about our two-party system, first of all, I don't want to be fit into one side or the left or the right. I mean, there's certain issues where I cross over. But primarily, I want to protect our country. I want to make sure that we have a future for my daughter, who's now 10 years old. And some of these decisions that our politicians are making, it just seems like it's a dumb decision, especially with the terrorists that we have now, a lot of the cybersecurity issues that we see. So it just seems like you have one side of the politics that want to bring more people in. Let's go ahead and open it up to socialism. And you have another side that's saying, hey, we want to make common sense decisions. So,
and there's very positive arguments on both sides.
Right.
You can't exclude either side, no matter what you do.
Right.
You were mentioning LaBelle.
Yep.
And right around there, I don't know if you recall, I think it was approximately 2 years ago.
Okay.
The immigration authorities were cracking down, and the field workers who were not working under a permit were there picking fruit and everything. A lot of them got scared and left. And I remember reading that the largest tomato grower in Manatee County, and I could only imagine how large that is.
Yep.
That's huge. Said that his fruit was rotting on the ground because he couldn't get enough people to pick it because they all got scared and left.
I've seen documentaries like that as well.
And he just opened the fields. Anybody that wanted to come in could take all the tomatoes they wanted because he figured it was better to give them away
and that's the sad
than to
part
let them
of
die on the ground.
Yeah.
And he lost literally millions of dollars because he couldn't get the fruit picked.
Right.
And that was a relationship of laborers to the immigration authority.
Exactly, and we're going to touch on that. Also, get into some criminal defense as well with attorney Peter Macaluso when we come back. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes, Real Estate Quarterback Show. We are in studio here live from iHeartRadio every day, weekday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're also on the weekends on 102.5 The Bone, Sunday mornings. Check us out. Hit up our website, realestateradiotampa.com, and save our consumer advocate hotline number in your phone because at some point you may need it. 813-917-1894. And we're talking with, in studio, first segment, we heard from Tara Richter, Richter Publishing. We're going to come back and get some more nuggets of advice from her. Right now, we're kind of talking about immigration law with attorney Peter Macaluso. Macaluso Law. So, between the segments there, we kind of started talking there, Peter. But, interesting. It's such a heated debate. It's a political topic. And, like you said, there's arguments for both sides, I think. And hopefully somewhere in the middle, common sense will prevail.
That's a good point.
Yeah. What else are you seeing?
Well, I was saying in between the show that there are, I don't know if there's, to say thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, I don't know, probably hundreds of thousands of hardworking people in this country who are not legal. They snuck in somehow. They managed to get jobs. And I know, because I have clients that way, that a lot of them pay taxes and pay their Social Security and all that through whatever job they have. And that money is never going to be able to be paid out to them because they can't prove that they're legal. And therefore they can't collect their Social Security.
That's sad. I mean, that's the side that you don't really hear as a talking point on an agenda. To make it to that point where it's on an agenda.
I have a client right now who I know is legal because he was adopted by Americans when he was 11 years old. Problem is, everybody's deceased. The town that he came from in Italy has no records. So far, we haven't been able to prove that he is legal in this country. He has a voter's registration card, had one for 30 or 40 years. He's paid Social Security. Now, at 68 years old, he can't collect the Social Security because he can't prove that he's either a legal resident or a citizen.
So can I ask a question? So these people, they basically never went and took the citizenship. Like they never got their American citizenship. Is that correct? That's why they can't get their benefits?
In this case, he was adopted. And when he got on the plane at 11 years old coming from Italy, he says the stewardess told him, I have all your papers in this envelope. I'm going to give them to your mother. So he went to New York with his parents that adopted him, and he never had to worry about it. And then he always worked, and he always had a Social Security number. And he's been a chef up in Newport Richey for 25 years. He has a voter registration card. But when he went to get Social Security benefits at 66, they asked him, where is he from? He said, Italy. Are you a citizen? Yeah. We have to see your papers. And he doesn't have the papers because his mother died at a young... We've requested all that from immigration, but sometimes records are hard to get even from our own government if they go back far enough. And these are 40 or 45 years old.
Wow.
But there are people here, thousands and thousands of them, who have been working, frankly, with Social Security numbers that they bought somewhere. And they've been paying their taxes and their Social Security, but they won't be able to collect it because they can't show their legal residence or citizenship, either one.
If they got, because I have some friends, actually one of my authors here is from Panama City. One of my best friends is from Mexico City. And my best friend, she took her citizenship test actually like the day before she was supposed to be at my wedding. So when she had been here 5 years prior and then became American citizen. So those times that she's working before, does that go towards her retirement, or is it from the time that you get your citizenship?
No. As long as you were working with a Social Security number, that's all paid in.
Yeah.
That's all credit. It's just when it's time to get it.
Yeah.
You have to show your legal status.
So I'm just wondering, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. Like, so these people had this problem, and they never, got the papers. If they go and try to get the citizenship now, would all that back stuff go towards them?
Yes, if they can attain legal residency or citizenship. Yes, of course. That was paid in. They're entitled to it, but they have to be able to prove their status.
Yeah, or get new citizenship or something.
Okay, great. Yeah, we want to engage you on social media. We also have a Ask the REQB hashtag on social media. Check us out, facebook.com/REQB show, and Twitter @BrandonRhymes1. But we've got a question here for Peter, immigration related. It says, how can a non-legal resident be allowed to stay in the United States, or can they?
Well, there's probably hundreds of situations about that. Let's take the person who simply came across the border from whatever country they're from. They made it to Mexico and they snuck across the border. Well, that person is totally illegal in this country. Can he ever become legal? There are certain circumstances. For example, if he's here more than 10 years and has children born in the U.S. or a wife or husband born in the U.S. who will be under severe hardship if he gets deported, and if he's in deportation proceedings before the deportation court, he could be allowed to stay if the court finds that it's an extreme hardship on an American citizen. If he's not in deportation, in other words, if he's never gotten caught, never been picked up, there isn't any way. Not right now.
Interesting. Let's go ahead. We're going to talk. I want to switch gears and talk a little criminal law, criminal defense as well. But I want to reach out to our listeners right now. If you have somebody that might be facing something like this, or you've got a friend, or you're a friend of a friend who has immigration issues, I want you to reach out to our consumer advocate hotline. We want to help you. And go ahead and text immigration to 813-917-1894. text immigration now. No cost consultation. The first hour is free. Peter Macaluso has got a convenient office here, Florida and MLK on Arlington and MLK there. Text immigration now to 813-917-1894. Also criminal defense as well. We have criminal defense that Peter can help you with. So let's switch gears. Interesting topic. I could talk about that one for a whole show or maybe even 2 or 3 shows, but it's great to get your advice on that, Peter. When you're hearing things out there in the news, and then when you hear the actual facts between what's fact and fiction and happens in court. But let's go ahead and talk about criminal defense. I think here's a common one. If people get pulled over, and we got a story to touch on next segment about that. But people get pulled over, and it may be drinking and driving. You may be just getting a citation, but there's certain common sense behaviors that you want to take into effect whenever that officer is approaching your vehicle. So why don't we talk about that? It starts with greeting the officer at no attitude. Having your hands up high. Go ahead.
Those things that you just mentioned they should be perfectly obvious to everyone, whether you're upset because he pulled you over and there's no reason in your opinion to pull you over or not. Still in all, that's an officer, and he has the chance of running into people with bad behavior, so he's going to be very cautious and very defensive. So the best thing you can do is be the nicest person you can possibly be.
That's right. Respectful,
officer. Just speak to him nicely. It is a good practice to keep your hands on the steering wheel, so there's no question that you're reaching for anything.
Yep.
And if he asks you for ID, I think it's a good practice to say, "Sir, I'm going to get my ID. It's in my wallet.
Yep.
I wanted to tell you that, so I'm going to reach for my wallet now." Or if by some chance you have your ID in your wallet in your glove compartment or something, tell him that.
Yeah. Hey, can I reach? I'm going to make a reach now.
Yeah.
Just let them know, because these guys are on edge. Some of them do get shot on a
Yeah,
daily basis.
exactly.
Your career, your job, most likely you're not going to have the likelihood to get shot. These officers, I think there's also something else. That's another thing in the media that I hate to see is this the pendulum swinging again on social issues, but also on our officers, our officers that are protecting us. If somebody breaks into your house, you're going to call 911, and we take it for granted that they're going to show up, they're going to have the guns out, and they're going to try to protect you and your family. So these are the guys that are doing that. So don't treat them with disrespect.
Right.
I hate when I see that.
Yeah, and I think it does happen, and I think that some people that get a traffic ticket might not have gotten a traffic ticket if they'd have been nicer about it. And then you have the more serious stuff where they wind up searching the car and all of that.
Yeah. And do you do the breathalyzer? Do you not? Do you blow? Do you not blow? There's things that you need to know about that. And again, we want you reaching out to Peter's office, Peter Macaluso, Macaluso Law. Tara, we got about a minute left in this segment, but I want to see if have you written any law books? Do you have anything talking about this? Because I feel a book here.
Well, the one, and of course I didn't bring it today because we were talking about memoirs, but that's Plaintiff 101 is really the only one that concerns law and her Karen Mertez getting hit by the drunk driver, and then her 4-year litigation process of the do's and don'ts of what to do during litigation. And hers was a DUI accident. It was not her, the one, though, that was drinking. So, right. And I didn't bring that book here today, but yeah, that's an excellent book, Plaintiff 101, Karen Mertez, if you were hit by a drunk driver and what actions to take after that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And, I actually got hit by a drunk driver coming out of school, young age. Luckily I made it out with not many injuries, slight injuries, but it happens. It's out there. The buzz driving is drunk driving. I want to remind you not to drink and drive, and texting. I see so many people out there texting on the phone and working, while you're in the vehicle. It's like we're pressured in this. I joke about it. I call it our texting and tweeting and twerking age that we live in. We have this.
No twerking in the car.
No, don't do it. So stay with us. We're going to talk about this Tampa police suit over DUI arrest and accused of trying to meet quotas. Stay with us. The Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes, Real Estate Quarterback Show, Consumer Quarterback Show here on iHeartRadio, and on the weekends on 102.5 The Bone. We got the live stream as well on WeBeam TV. And before the break, we talked about Tampa police sued over DUI arrest, accused of trying to meet quotas. And on February afternoon 2 years ago, a police officer pulled over Ronald Ayers on Gandy Boulevard. The traffic stop led to a DUI arrest that the officer decided that Ayers, who was 73 at the time, had alcohol on his breath, slurred speech, performed poorly on field sobriety tests. When Ayers got to the county jail, records show a breath test and blood alcohol level at 000. A urine test turned up no intoxicants. Prosecutor eventually dropped the DUI charge. Now the Lakeland resident is suing the city, accusing of the officers of the Tampa Police Department of false arrest and malicious prosecution. So, interesting story here. Tampa claims officers pressured to meet annual DUIs quotas, unconstitutional arrests, sufficient probable cause. Those are some allegations from the basis of an ongoing lawsuit by prominent Cuba activist Al Fox, who was arrested, charged with DUI in 2013, despite clean urine and breath tests. So, Peter, I just want to get your opinion on that.
Well, when we came in a little while ago and you handed me this, I have to say I had not heard of this case with Mr. Ronald Ayers, and I try to be pretty thorough about reading the newspaper every day, but I'd not heard about this, and I'm not really sure what to say about it.
Have you seen other cases like that? Where
I haven't seen, in my experience, any cases where somebody got arrested for a DUI and had poor field sobriety tests and these other symptoms, and then had a 0 for blood alcohol if they took the test. Now, sometimes people elect not to take the test, and I guess that decision is, I assume, based on whether you've had very much to drink or not.
Or maybe you're borderline and you didn't eat that last.
But I can't say that I personally have seen a case where somebody had a complete 0 and a complete negative on intoxicants, and that they still arrested him for a DUI.
Yeah.
Now, I can see where possibly someone could have a medical issue, and when they tried to walk the line, by the way, the field sobriety tests refer to a standard set of tests that they give someone who's being investigated for DUI, where you have to walk down a straight line and make a turn and follow the officer's instructions and touch your nose and stuff like that.
You don't have to. Do you have to say the ABCs backwards, or is that a false?
I'm not sure that you do. I don't think I couldn't do it.
Because the joke is
anyway.
I couldn't eat. Yeah, I mean that's what people say. I mean,
right now.
So,
but I have seen occasionally a written police report where when you read it, it looks really bad. And then when I see the video of the person taking the test, they don't seem to compare, because the person taking the test looks really good.
Right.
Now, I can't tell you that I've seen that very often. Most of the time you read the police report and it talks about the person not performing well, and then you see the video and you see the same thing. Stumbling, especially the part where they make you stand on one foot and raise 1 foot and count maybe backwards from 10.
Yep.
That's hard to do when you're not drinking. So I imagine
do they make you tilt your head back too?
Yeah.
And when you got like stilettos on, come on. Like I can't do that with high heels sober. So it's just not
those
fair.
things are, could make you look bad. But in general, I think that most of the time, what the officer observes indicates whether or not that person is intoxicated with alcohol or with something else.
All right, switching gears, new topic, and I want to real quick answer on this one if we can. I want to get Tara some time at the end here. But what sanctuary cities? I know it's sanctuary cities. It's kind of an immigration law type thing where the cities, they have these sanctuary type cities, and a lot of crimes. That's a different type of an issue as well, where the criminal causes a problem or they kill someone. I think it happened in San Francisco or California somewhere, and then they ship the person back home without prosecuting them.
Ship them back home, meaning out of the country?
Yeah, sanctuary cities, right, yeah.
I can't say that I'm familiar with that at all. The usual procedure is you first are going to be in jail or prison, whatever you have to do for the criminal offense.
Right.
And then after that, you're going to be deported.
Maybe that's something I misread somewhere. But I
have heard that phrase, sanctuary cities, but I'm not exactly sure what they're referring to about it.
Excellent.
There is some kind of a sanctuary action going on that I saw on television recently. started in Canada and now is coming across the border into certain cities. I think Detroit is one of them, where they're letting people who are addicted to illegal drugs go somewhere where they can, which is a sponsored place,
Right.
where they can safely take that drug. It's usually heroin, I think.
Wow.
And not be out on the street doing it. They can
Spreading,
be in
yeah.
a protected environment, and it's approved by the city. Now that,
Wow.
I don't know if that's what that could be a form of a sanctuary city, but I think it's
Interesting.
a different meaning than you were getting at.
Seems like it makes sense. They're going to have less, the bloods,
Yeah.
transfusions,
Yes,
and AIDS
exactly.
and stuff like that. But all right, so that's Peter Macaluso. He's a Macaluso law attorney here in Tampa Bay, immigration law, criminal defense. We want you reaching out and getting that consultation, finding out what your rights are. 813-917-1894, 917-1894. You can call or text that line. And I want to end the show with Tara Richter here, Richter Publishing. What else are you seeing out there, Tara?
Well, I was going to share with the listeners a really great memoir that we published, which is The Little Amazonian, which is by Miroslava Espinoza. And speaking of immigration, she is from Panama. And as you can tell from the cover, if you guys can see that, she has a very interesting story to tell.
Yeah. She's bigger than the horse.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she is an amazing woman. And the funny thing is, I say little woman because she's only about 5'2", but
Yep.
she is a bodybuilder, fitness competitor type woman, and she now lives in Panama, Florida. And her memoir is about her, growing up in Panama and living in a third world country and everything that she had to go through and survive to even get an education. I mean, she literally grew up in the jungles with no electricity,
Wow.
no running water. Her and her brothers and sisters had to walk 3 miles in jungle before they got to the city just to go to school and then turn around and come back. And do
And
that.
our kids get mad when we say, do some chores around the house and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, literally, she has stories like there's a jaguar. No, is that jaguar, cougar? I can't remember.
Yeah.
That she went face to face with 5 years old.
Wow.
Her and her little brother would go out into the jungles to get food. 5 years old, she encountered this animal, and literally she's like looking at it locked on eye to eye and thought it was going to devour her, but instead it took off. And then when they went into the village later that day, they found out it attacked a 93-year-old man. And it had cubs, and so it was going to feed its children, and she really thinks that it saved her because she was a child.
Wow.
And it was a mother and could notice that. But this is a great book. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Nook, everywhere books are sold. But this is a fantastic memoir of what this little lady had to do to survive. And it's fantastic. This is one I really want to try to get into the movie theater.
That's a great story. I was on a trip down to Cozumel, Mexico a couple years ago, and one of the stories was, I guess, local folklore or whatever you call it, was that when there was a hurricane that came through 10 or 12 years ago, whatever it might have been, and they wiped out the lower half of the island, the southern half of the island, and they actually found an indigenous group of people that were living there off the land that they didn't even know lived there in in Cozumel. So it's an interesting story. The Little Amazonian, is that on Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Kindle and Nook, even iTunes, everywhere books are sold. And it's a great story of, growing up in a third world country, coming to America, making a life for yourself.
Yeah.
We don't realize what these people have to go through on a daily basis. Like I said, I can't even talk about it on the air, some of the things she encountered just to get an education.
Yep.
So, we do have it good here. And, and I know why people come to this country, because we do have it good.
Yep.
And, I think we really want to help, the immigrants that are coming here, make a life for themselves, because they'll work and do whatever they want to just so they can have a roof over their head.
Yeah.
So, get the book. It's amazing. You definitely, you'll be changed after you cannot read this thing and not leave with a wet eye.
And you've had books that you've written that have beat out as #1 bestsellers on Amazon. You beat out John Grisham. And so really cool stories there. And that's Tara Richter, Richter Publishing, LLC. She can help you as a ghostwriter. She can help you publish and put together the whole turnkey system to help you become a published author, grow your sphere of influence, maximize the exposure that you have on social media. So many reasons to reach out and check out Real Estate Radio Tampa realestatequarterbackshow.com, and our hotline is 917-1894. I want to thank Peter Macaluso, attorney with Macaluso Law. Great stories, great nuggets of advice, as well as Tara Richter of Richter Publishing, LLC here in Tampa Bay. And, hey, another great show, interesting content. We want to remind you, check out our YouTube channel. A lot of great content there as well, available at our YouTube channels, Facebook, all the Instagrams. And I have also written a book here. It's called The Real Estate Quarterback Show's Consumer Advocate Playbook. It's available as well on Amazon. The foreword was written by Tom Hopkins and Chris Brogan, CEO of Owner Media. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming in, guys. Thanks to our listeners out there, all the folks behind the scenes helping us put this together, over 80 show partners as well. So please go out and consider making a random act of kindness.